I prefer bare feet and black socks. Oh, that amused me.
Oh yeah.
So you edit this. I don't want this going on the video.
I think you'll
It's the kind of thing you'd put on the intro, yeah. Taking my socks off to film.
Especially with the commentary.
I wanna hold you. Right, can we wrap this up because I've got a lunch meeting at the pub.
Yep. Good filming, everybody.
I'm going to do that again because it's quite funny. Can we wrap this up because I've got a lunch meeting at the pub?
Sam's still walking around making noise.
Not as funny the second time.
Can we wrap this up because I've got a lunch meeting at the pub?
Third time you've said that as well.
Can we wrap?
The funniest bit was Sam making that noise.
Can we wrap this up because I've got a lunch meeting at the pub? Sam!
It's a good job this isn't scripted, isn't it? It's not scripted, which is really bad.
Can we wrap this up because I've got a lunch meeting at the pub?
Who with?
You and Babs from next door.
Yeah, Babs from next door. We taking Bongo Boy?
No, he doesn't get that kind of privilege.
He's got work to do.
Pub lunch has come with seniority.
Should we say hello?
Hello. Willkommen zu Anarchy.
Oh, no. Well, actually, people seem to like the languages. Go on,
think they do.
You've done German before now.
Oh, okay.
The one you haven't done.
Hola.
Nice. Anyway, what are we doing today?
We are
You don't really know,
doing
do
a
you?
guide to buying a ukulele.
We are, yeah. So, yeah, we thought we'd do a sort of a buying guide, what to look for, where to buy from. And we don't know what we're going to say yet, so it's going to be interesting.
Have you changed your glasses?
I have changed my
I
glasses.
like those ones.
Yeah, these are like my retro 1960s. They slide down my nose a bit though, so I'm going to do that quite a lot.
They're a little bit dirty. They're cool, but they've sort of got an air of serial killer.
Nice, I like that.
I think I've got wine gum in my
I
teeth.
feel like it suits me.
Sorry, everyone.
So, where to buy a ukulele from?
Should we start with where not to buy a ukulele
Let's start with
from?
where not to buy it from.
If you've watched our road trip video, which you won't have done because this is coming out prior to our road trip video, you'll see that Argos is not the place for you. Argos.
Argos.
It's so handy for many things, you know. I got some great garden furniture from there. I'm considering getting a mattress from there. But I wouldn't consider getting a ukulele from there.
No. Right, we're done then. So basically, don't buy from Argos.
Why?
Because they come in a box that have been shipped from a factory possibly a long, long time ago because they don't sell like hundreds of thousands of ukuleles. And, yeah,
Shock horror.
And they're not very good. They're cheap.
The one that Paul and Bongo Boy got had a terrible finish as well, didn't it?
I wasn't impressed with that one. We will do a review of that one because that'll be fun.
And we need content.
But, yeah, I don't think buying from places like Argos is a good idea for musical instruments at all.
You could apply the same thing to Amazon. However...
Are we allowed to say Argos? Yeah, of course we are. Yeah.
Yeah, other catalogue shops are
Yeah,
available.
it's not just Argos, but yeah, other catalogue places generally aren't going to have top quality instruments or instruments that are put together very well. Sometimes you buy from a place like that, the strings aren't even attached properly and you have to do it all yourself, and then they go out of tune really, really quickly. And, number one, when you buy a ukulele, the tuning's going to wander for the first couple of days or so. Because the strings have to acclimatise to, it might have been stored in a cold environment, in a warehouse, might have been stored in a hot environment, it doesn't really matter, it's stored not in the same environment you're going to have it in at home. Why are you looking at my t-shirt like that?
I wasn't, I was actually looking at my own ukulele. As in the one I decorated.
Nice, yeah.
Again, you haven't seen that video yet.
Anyway, so, what was I saying? So they're stored in different places, they take quite a long time to acclimatise.
The strings need to stretch as well, don't they?
But a lot of beginners, or if you buy a ukulele for a child, they're not playing it very regularly and they're also not tuning it very regularly, or they might not know how to tune it. An adult might tune it for them once and then it kind of lasts days and weeks before it gets tuned again. it's not very playable. It's not really going to work out.
Especially if you've bought it from Argos.
Or, yeah, anywhere where, you know, ukuleles are kind of stored like that, stored en masse, I think. So I wouldn't buy it from Argos. Amazon's an interesting one because we've bought a couple of ukuleles from Amazon and they've been quite good.
Yeah, I think generally the same storage rules potentially apply.
Yeah.
So you will just have to bear in mind that your tuning is going to wander more than if you got it from a professional music shop.
I think you can buy a ukulele from Amazon, but it's a bit of luck whether you get a decently set up one or not. And we were just lucky, possibly. That might be mean. I mean, we've
got a Donna, which is Amazon's own brand of
kebab
musical instrument. Is it?
I like that joke every time we mention it.
It's not just ukuleles that Donna do, is it?
No, they do all sorts of musical instruments. And so we can't really criticise them because the one that we had was set up very well. There was a few flaws in the ukulele itself, like the tuning pegs were a little bit wonky and things like that. Didn't actually stop it from playing very well. So a really good beginner's instrument. But I think you're probably a bit lucky if you buy from Amazon. You don't fully know where you're getting it from. A lot of music shops ship via Amazon. So if you can see where it's coming from a music shop, that might be slightly better. However, I have noticed that a lot of music shops add something on the price if they're selling through Amazon because Amazon are obviously taking fees. So previously I've found instruments that I've in a Google search have come up with Amazon first, seen where they're selling them, and then I found the music shop website and it's been sort of £20-30 cheaper.
I do the same thing with flights.
Yeah. Ukuleles.
Actual, plane flights.
So Amazon, we're going to say, is a little bit hit and miss. You've got other big box retailers. So big box retailers, someone like P.Man in Germany.
Obviously, with P.Man, they've got a little bit more expertise because they are a music shop. They're
Music
not
Room
an Amazon
as well in this country. Bax Music, DV247. We're only really going to mention places that we've bought ukuleles
PMT.
from. I'm not sure we bought a ukulele from PMT.
Haven't we?
No, I bought lots of things from PMT. And yeah, we're going to talk about places that we've bought from because I don't think it's fair to talk about other places. No. And if you are a ukulele retailer and we don't mention you, then
get in touch.
Well, and pop it in the comments and we'll...
Yeah, we'd love to try you out.
Yeah, we'll buy from you.
For free. Oh.
So
I've had nothing from Fender yet.
I don't think you're going to hear from Fender. That review has gone out so people can watch that one. I mean, we were just true. I mean, I was truthful.
I loved it.
You were truthful. You just loved the look of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so big box retailers, some of them are starting to offer setups, and I think Music Room has somebody there to look. It's mainly to look at instruments that get returned to them, I think, and to find out what's wrong with them. But they do sometimes set up instruments as they go out. That's the problem with a big box retailer, is that you're still pretty much getting the instrument as it was sent from the factory. However, what I would say is the big box retailers offer better instruments than places like Argos. Yeah. They're offering flights, Carlas, lots of brands depending on which retailer you go to. Places like P.Man offer loads. They also have their own brand instruments that we haven't tried too many of, but we've had a few. So Gear for Music is another one that offer their own brand. P.Man offer their own brand, which is Harley Benton. And there's some, if you're a guitarist, Harley Benton guitars do some really nice looking guitars for incredibly cheap prices. Again, can be a little bit hit and miss on where the quality's at. But their own brands are now getting more and more expensive and offering better quality as you go up the price scale. So they're good for that, and they offer better quality instruments than you'll find from the likes of Argos or retailers that aren't ukulele or music instrument places. If
you don't buy from a small music retailer, which I think we're going to go on to in a second, but if you buy from a big box, for example, what would you recommend that people do when their instrument arrives?
Well, I think that's the thing. If you've got a little bit of knowledge of how to set up your instrument, then, you can get some really good prices from the big box retailers because they're buying, sort of mass quantities. So you can get some bargains from time to time, but you've got to either have somebody to look at that instrument for you or know what you're doing. And we're going to do a little video on setting up shortly. It might even be today. No, we'll get James to do that.
Not once we've been to the pub.
We'll get a professional luthier in to do that one. But, so yeah, a little bit of knowledge can go a really long way, which then enables you to buy from some of these places and do the setup. However, if you want the setup done, I'd buy from somewhere else, which we'll go on to. It's like a mystery where to buy from.
Isn't it?
What are we going to recommend? Well, I think what we've got left, so we've done places like Argos. I mean, you can buy a ukulele from Smith's Toy Store. Sure.
From Tiger / Flying Tiger. I mean, love that shop.
They are, Smith's is a toy shop, but they do have a ukulele for sale. I haven't tried one, so I'm not going to say that it's rubbish.
Maybe we need to do like a toy shop ukulele trial.
Yeah. But it is a toy shop, so I would imagine it's like a toy, and if you're buying it as a toy, that's great, perfect. It can probably withstand being bashed around a little bit more and things like that, but it's not an instrument that I think you would want to do much playing on. So what have we got left? We've got music shops, general music shops, and we've got specialist music shops. Mm-hmm. General music shops, my opinion, and it is only my opinion, is that if they don't specialise in ukuleles, they might have a few cheap ukuleles hung in the window at the back of the store, and they're okay. They're okay.
They're better than you're going to get from.
They tend
Argos.
To be sort of £30 to £50 instruments. They're okay. They don't always have the setup done, but if you know the people in the store well, you could go in and talk to them about it and actually ask for it to be set up, because they'd usually know how to do it. They'd usually have a guitarist that can set things up and things like that. So if you can ask them, to sort of just check the instrument over. If you're a complete beginner, I think it's really hard to go and buy a ukulele because you don't know what you're looking for. If you're a bit more experienced, then you could go into a music store like that and just, have a little play of it, make sure it plays. If it plays nicely, that's the thing, really. But we'll go through a few things to check in a second, which leaves us with the specialist places. And in this country, that is places like World of Uke, or World of Ukes, is it? Can't remember which it is.
Southern Ukulele.
Southern Ukulele Store. I'd include Hobgoblin in that we visited recently.
They're like a folk instrument shop, aren't they? Shout out to the Birmingham Hobgoblin store. Absolutely brilliant. If you need help, go in there. Ricardo, who works in there, was amazing.
There's the Uke Rooms. Where else? We've done World of Uke Rooms. I think there's one called Uke Universe as well.
Oh, is there?
I might have made that up.
We're only going to talk about ones that we've bought from, though.
Yeah. So these places, when we've bought ukuleles from them, we've bought ukuleles from Southern Ukulele Store, World of Ukes,
Hobgoblin.
I think we've had one from the Uke Rooms as well. I know Paul's definitely had ukuleles from there before.
Paul's not here.
We can't mention every time Paul's not here because we're due
to personal circumstances.
It's not due to personal circumstances. This is the day after the last videos that we mentioned him. He's still at home. He's still teaching.
Still haven't called him.
Yeah, he's earning a crust.
He's out as a
Disney princess. Isn't he? Again, they haven't seen that video yet, so
watch this space.
They don't understand what we're talking about. So, right, the places I just mentioned, we have bought ukuleles from. Every time we've bought from one of those, the ukulele's been set up perfectly. And we'll talk about what setup it is, but they've just come. Most of them come in tune,
so which is quite impressive, given that they've been bashed around in the post
by a courier who aren't always that careful, and Yeah, they've had what we call bench time. They've been on the bench.
It's settled.
So what they've had checked is, let's find a ukulele.
There's just one to your right there.
Which one should? Okay, we'll go for this one. We'll go for the Carla because we've just reviewed it. Reviews on YouTube. Check here.
Can you actually do that?
Yeah, and there'll be a link to it. I think it's about there. How clever was that? It's the first time we've ever done that. People do that all the time. We never ever do that.
We'll see if it works.
Yeah. So what they're going to check for? They're going to check the action of a ukulele. So the action is, let's go to Bongo Boy. Don't know how well you can see that. It's the height of the strings against the fingerboard, and
as in how far away from the
how far away
they are.
Now, a lot of people like a low action.
That's better for beginners, right?
It is better for beginners. It's easier to play. The higher it is, the
harder you have to
harder
press.
it is on your fingers. So you have to press down. So a lot of people like a low action. I like quite a low action. If they're higher, it can be better for getting different tones and things like that out of it. But a lot of people like a low action. If the action's too low, then, so if this string here, for instance, if I play it there, there's no buzz on it. There's no, it's just nice, clean sounding. If the action is too low, it can push the string down, which I don't think we're going to see that. I won't be able to play it like that because it'll, but it's kind of giving an effect of what might happen. It's going to catch on the frets.
Can you change
it's going
the
to buzz
action,
against
though,
the
or
frets.
is it surely based on how your ukulele's built?
No, it's based on the height of the bridge. So on any ukulele, really, this bit here in the bridge is movable. So it's normally made by out of bone, or it's made out of
synthetic bone.
Synthetic bone. Can be plastic on cheaper instruments. That pops out, and what that allows you to do is put what's called a shim, which, depending on, you know, a little bit of wood or something, goes underneath that, which can higher the action. If your action's too high, you can really carefully sand it down a little bit and take it down. Once you've taken too much off, you can't put it back on, but you could shim it, but then, you know, that's
a
worst case scenario. No, so ukuleles will normally be shipped with a kind of medium action.
Okay.
So it's going to be kind of averaging best case scenario for most players. But we had to play with a medium action, it'll be fine. If you prefer a low action, you need to take it to somebody to do it for you, or learn how to do it yourself.
Okay.
Cheaper instruments and ones that haven't been set up by somebody can have the action all over the place. So it can be too high, which makes it hard to play. It can be too low, and you've got a buzz on it. Mm-hmm. When places like Southern Ukulele Store are doing a setup for you, they're making sure that that action is as good as it can be.
So they'll alter your bridge for you?
If it needed, if they had an instrument that buzzed, they'd fix that
it
by either changing the action or changing what the buzzing was. Mm-hmm. So when they're coming out to you, they're in perfect condition, and that's what you get from these specialist stores. And I've got to say, the specialist stores they're not charging any more for that.
It's just
it's a free service. The ukuleles, to me, seem to be as well priced as anywhere. They seem to be as competitive as anywhere. So there isn't really a reason not to use one of the specialist ukulele stores, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And when we've done that to get hold of ukuleles that they maybe haven't got in stock or they're not stocking, there's a noticeable difference between what arrives from Amazon or other places compared to the specialist stores.
You can also do things like, if you're left-handed, you can put a request in and they'll switch it to left-handed for you.
They'll fit pickups for you. There is a charge for things like that, but it's pretty good. The pickups that they fit are really, really good. They have a recommended option at Southern Ukulele, which is for, I can't remember what the pickup's called, but we've got one in our baritone, and it recharges by sticking a jack lead in for like 30 seconds, and it charges for like 4 hours or something. Or 4 hours worth of playing. It's brilliant. So yeah, they'll do that. Other specialist ukuleles do the same pickups, I think, and the same kind of prices to have them fitted. So yeah, setup it's not just about the action. It's, like I say, checking if there's any buzzes. It might be sharp fret ends, in which case they will file and sand those down.
Loose tuners.
They will treat them. Loose tuners, making sure they're all tight. all things that if you're, for whatever reason, if you're not going to use a specialist store and you're walking into a store to go and buy, they're the kind of things that you want to check. So, you know, are the tuning pegs, are they all, is the friction on them good? It doesn't want to be, you know, too hard to turn, particularly for children. But
it doesn't want to just
does it
unswivel.
tighten? Friction peg there, you can see that is very loose. That's fine because I'm turning it sort of back and forth the wrong way. If I go to tighten it up, which way around am I? That way. If I go to tighten it up, it gets stiff really quickly.
Which is what you want.
Oh yeah. Can't put that in, can we?
Is it time for the pup yet?
No. If we tighten it up, it gets stiff really quickly. And that's what you want. It's can't do it. I can't do it. So if you tighten it up, you can feel the friction.
You want it to get stiff quickly.
Stop it. If you tighten it up, you can feel the friction on there.
So it gets tighter quickly.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, like stiff. And then, so what else are we looking for?
What about strings? Do you just stick with the strings it comes with?
Well, most branded ukuleles, so the likes of Carla, Flight, Snail, at this kind of slightly lower scale than, you know, the really expensive brands, you know, can come with really nice strings on them.
Yeah.
These come with strings, mostly they're Aquila strings. As the price of the instrument goes up, they can change to sort of fluorocarbon strings. Snail always seem to come with really nice strings that I personally like on them. So good, so you don't need to change the strings straight away. On the lesser brands, you could buy from somewhere and change the strings to a much better set and improve the instrument straight away.
And if you're a beginner, could you take it into a music shop and they would change them for you?
I'm sure you could. I'm sure music shops would be willing to do that. Again, if you're buying from a music shop, look at what strings they've got. I think a good indication would be if you're going to just the standard music shops, which we want to encourage people to use because we don't want to see them shut down. And I love going in little music shops, is have a look at what ukulele strings do they have. If they stock a range of, I don't know, maybe 3 to 4 types of strings, at least there's some thought gone into there for ukulele players. If they've just got one set of strings and that's it,
they're probably not that focused on the ukulele.
They're probably not that focused on the ukulele and their knowledge may not be there. If you go into one of the specialist retailers, I mean, I wouldn't like to guess, but the range of strings is massive. You're talking a whole wall of different ukulele strings, you know, sort of 8, 9, 10 brands.
Difference between ukulele strings and guitar strings?
Ukulele strings they're either nylon or they're what's called Nile gut, which is like a synthetic nylon, or they're fluorocarbon, which is fishing line. And I mean, there are other types as well. Ukuleles, so they're kind of this nylon-y material. Mm. Guitar strings, unless it's a classical guitar, tend to be metal.
Okay. What about violin?
Oh, I'm not even going there.
What would happen if you put violin or guitar strings on a ukulele?
Well, violin strings, I imagine it would be horrendous and it wouldn't work and you couldn't get the length. And
maybe we'll try it though.
Maybe. As you can get metal wound strings for ukulele, so sometimes you have a low G string, it will be wound with metal, but the inside string will normally, I think, be nylon. Baritone strings, the same type of things, but you can use a guitar string for some of the low strings on a baritone. And then you've got things like the U-bass, which are like rubber, aren't they? The U-bass are, that's a whole different thing, but they're rubberized strings. But the strings that you get when you buy it should be good if you go upwards from the sort of the high street retailers that aren't music shops. Anything up from there, you should be fine with the strings that are on it to get you started. Mm-hmm. And then you might want to experiment with strings. And I mean, I'm going to give a shout out to Alex at Southern Ukulele Store, who has a channel called Ukes with Alex, where he's gone into like massive detail. Ukulele, some ukuleles also have a YouTube channel, but he goes into
I think he reviewed one of these
details.
actually. He did like a review on the best ukuleles for a certain amount of money, I think, and I think this was
they do loads of stuff. We don't try and be similar to them because we're not a retailer, and they're retailing their stuff, and I think their videos are great. He's got a video all about ukulele strings, and I couldn't even start to do a video on that in the detail that he does it and get it correct. So if you're interested, go check out Alex's video because they're amazing. So yeah, where are we up to? So specialist ukulele retailers, they're going to check everything for you. They're going to check the instrument over. They're going to do any changes that you want. And they certainly do the checking and the correcting of anything for free. Yeah,
they're very helpful, aren't they? Because this is actually the second one of these, and we had a problem with our first one, didn't we?
Yeah. And I think as well, when you speak to manufacturers, they really like those stores because they know that their instruments are going out absolutely. It's very hard for a manufacturer to manufacture the amount that they do, particularly if they're manufacturing out in China or in big factories, and make sure that they're fully set up when they've got to be shipped halfway around the world and then shipped again to once it gets here from the freight company and then shipped again out from a store or a box retailer. You can kind of see why they're going to wander and sort of not be in the best condition that they can possibly be in. So they seem to like the specialist stores because they know that their instruments are going out in tip-top condition. The only way for them to do it would be to charge more for the instrument because they'd have to have different manufacturing things. They'd have to have people doing setups better at the factory. They'd have to work on how do they then distribute that without it all going off. So it's not the manufacturer's fault, I don't think. It's just that's the way it is.
If you're a beginner and you've watched this video, probably a little bit crazy. If you care that much
you've
about
lasted
ukuleles.
this long.
But if you are and you want to go into a music shop but you're shy or you don't want to look like an idiot and ask questions...
Are you offering to go in with them?
No.
Give Abbie a call.
What?
078812.
Which brands would you recommend that they look at?
I would recommend that they look at... Where are we going? We're going into...
Let's say they're gonna go in themselves to a shop.
So a music shop, just general music shop. If they stock Carlas, you know that you're onto a pretty good thing. Carlas are a really good kind of beginner instrument that goes up to their premium range, super expensive and fantastic. But they're a good manufacturer that people have heard of. So if you go into a music shop and they're stocking Carlas, that's a pretty good indication that music shop knows what they're doing. There's other makes as well. Flight, definitely. We really like Flight. Yeah. And again, if they're stocking Flight do a range of ukuleles that are aimed at real beginners and sort of plastic ones and ones with images all over them. They're still good ukuleles for the price. So if they're stocking Flight. Also, I'd look at the price range of ukuleles. Even if they've got a small selection and they're going from £20 or £30, but they go up to, I don't know, £200-300.
They probably know what they're doing.
Yeah, there's been a bit of consideration there that they don't just want to get some cheap instruments in to sell to anybody that'll take them. They've got a few more slightly expensive ones in. So there's that to look at. So yeah, Flight, Carla, Snail. You don't see many Snails around general music shops. I've only really seen them in the specialists. But a great brand that also do some lower price ones. There are some low price instruments. Camise, I think, do some fairly okay ones. There is the what's the one that Paul recommends? I think is it the
Kahana?
Yeah, Kahana do really good ones. We've got a good one there. Is the Dolphin. Whoever does the Dolphin. Paul loves them.
Yes. Are they just called Dolphin?
No, I think it's for Kahana Dolphin. Or yeah.
Could you just...
Does it?
I'll tell you what, we'll have a look. We'll put it on screen.
It's on screen now.
It's on screen now. We holding it?
Let's throw it in the air.
Clever. I like that. So yeah, but if they've got Carlas or flights in there, I think you're onto a pretty good thing. Hobgoblin do their own. They do Ashbury ukes, and we've had a couple of nice ones from them. And I think they do Blue Moon ukes, and we bought for a challenge. We're giving it away, but we bought a Blue Moon uke for £19.
Should have been 37, I think.
Yeah,
they retail normally at 37.
It was on offer. Yeah, and we half compared it to the Argos uke, which costs
£25.
£20. And the difference was considerable. Better. I mean, you could play the Blue Moon straight away. It's had its tuning pretty well because it'd been tuned in the shop a lot, I think. It had an American flag on it, so it wasn't all great, but...
My husband's American and my child's half American, which is why we got it, because he's already got a Union Jack one.
I'll be honest, I'd say the same about the Union Jack one. I mean,
I agree. They are a bit tacky.
I wouldn't go and play with it anywhere else. But yeah, so the difference there from just buying in somewhere where they knew how to set it up, tune it, was considerable, and it was a £19 ukulele. Very, very
and
playable.
I felt like they cared as much about the £19 ukulele as the £500 ukulele that he got out to show us. He saw Kevin was a soft target.
Oh, I am a soft target when it comes to ukuleles. So, this is a pretty long video now.
Yeah,
so
should we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up. What we're saying, in all honesty, I am going to say go to the specialist ukulele stores. They have a range of prices.
And they're online too, so if you don't want to go in person, you can go online.
We've talked before about what to spend. I think if it's your first ukulele, if you can stretch to £50, go to a specialist store, tell them it's your first ukulele, you've got £50-ish to spend.
Sometimes you'll get a deal.
Yeah, they will give you a really good uke to get you started. And
if anyone gives you any trouble, you let us know.
Yeah, we'll be on to them. What are we going to do?
We're going to play... We'll send Paul to play
I know what
ukulele.
I meant to mention. I meant to mention a music shop that I used to go to when I was at university. I'm not going to say where it was. And... because it might still be there. And in the window, the guy in the music store was really grumpy. And whenever you went in and you'd say, like, oh, I want to buy this, he'd say to you, oh, I wouldn't buy that, it's rubbish. He'd then try and sell you something way more expensive, but it's like, if it's rubbish, why have you got it in your shop?
Yeah.
So he'd say, I wouldn't buy that, it's absolutely rubbish. And in his window for his shop, he used to have little cards that he'd put up. And he would name and shame anybody that had sort of bought an instrument on credit and still owed him money. And he'd put up in his window.
Was it just Kevin Duncan?
No, it wasn't Kevin. I'd never appeared in his window. But he'd put their name and he'd put how much they owed him and what they still owed him in his window to kind of shame them.
Did it work?
I've no idea. I mean, I used to hate going in there because he was so grumpy.
We should go and find it. That should be a challenge.
Yeah, I don't think it's still there, but
we'll
it
Google
might be.
in a minute.
But yeah, so don't do that or we will name and shame you. That's the music shops, not the customers.
Yeah.
I mean, owing people money is not good, but it was just...
It's a bit harsh. Klarna don't do that, do they?
It kind of put you off buying from him because it was like,
Yeah.
Didn't come across as very nice. So, buy from a specialist retailer if you can. Also support your local high street music shops. If you have a look in there, see what they've got, talk to them about ukuleles. I think that's the best thing. Just try and gauge what is their knowledge on a ukulele. Because as a beginner, you want to get the best instrument you can get for the price
money
that you can pay. Because if you end up with one of these ones that just constantly goes out of tune, you're going
to hate it.
You're going to stop playing it.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel like you're not getting anywhere. If you buy one that's got a really high action, it's going to hurt your fingers. And again, you're going to stop playing it. So get the best instrument you can get for the price, either from a high street music shop or one of these specialists.
In person or online.
Who are also on the high street, yeah. But they've definitely got really good online presence as well.
Can we go to the pub now?
Let's go to the pub. What are we going to have to eat? I've eaten too much fish recently, so...
I might have nachos to start.
I might have a steak. With some meat.
Oh, you lost me, sorry. I was thinking about food.
Bye for now.
Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring-a-ling-a-ling. that bell.
I was a bit early.
You were a bit premature.
Shall I tell people I love them again? I do love these guys.
Okay.
I love the people that comment. Loads of comments.
Yeah,
Give us loads
please
of comments.
comment.
We try and get back to you all.
Thanks for joining us. TTFN.
Bye bye.